In the vast, lonely plains, a rancher roamed, his heart heavy with solitude. The wind whispered through the dry grass, carrying echoes of a life once full. He'd lost his way, not just on the land, but in his soul, searching for a purpose that slipped through his calloused hands. Days blurred into nights, and hope faded like the setting sun. His weathered boots trudged through the dust, each step a testament to years of toil. The ranch, once thriving, now stood as a ghost of its former self, empty stables, broken fences, and silence where cattle once roamed. He carried a map, but it offered no guidance, only reminders of a path he could no longer find. One evening, as the sky turned a deep orange, he stumbled upon a faint light in the distance. It flickered like a beacon, drawing him closer through the thickening dusk. His tired eyes squinted, unsure if it was a mirage born of desperation. Yet, the glow persisted, pulling him toward an unknown refuge. As he approached, the outlines of a modest cabin emerged, warm and inviting. 6 women stood at the porch, their faces kind yet curious. Dressed in simple, rustic clothes, they seemed untouched by the harshness of the land. He hesitated, his rough exterior clashing with their gentle presence, unsure if he belonged. "You look lost," one woman said, her voice soft but firm. Her eyes held wisdom, as if she'd seen countless wanderers before. The rancher nodded, words caught in his throat. The others smiled, stepping aside to welcome him. It was an offer he hadn't expected, a lifeline in his endless wandering. Inside, the cabin glowed with the warmth of a fire. The aroma of fresh bread filled the air, a stark contrast to the barrenness he'd known. The women moved with purpose, setting an extra plate at a long wooden table. He stood awkwardly, a stranger in a home that felt strangely familiar. They introduced themselves: Mary, the leader with a steady gaze; Ellen, who hummed as she cooked, and 4 others, each with a unique grace. Their names blended into a melody, a chorus of kindness that eased his guarded heart. He sat, still silent, letting their voices wash over him. Mary placed a steaming bowl before him, her hands steady. "Eat," she urged, and he obeyed, tasting nourishment after days of scarcity. The soup warmed his bones, and for the first time in months, he felt a flicker of peace. The women watched, their smiles encouraging him to stay. Conversation flowed like the river he'd long forgotten. They spoke of the land, its secrets, and their lives tending it together. He listened, captivated by their stories of resilience. They'd built this haven with their hands, a sanctuary amid the wilderness, and now they offered it to him. Night deepened, and the fire crackled, casting shadows on the walls. The rancher shared his tale: lost cattle, failed crops, and a wife who'd left years ago. His voice cracked, but the women listened without judgment. Their empathy wrapped around him like a blanket against the cold. Ellen handed him a cup of tea, her smile gentle. "You're not alone anymore," she said. The words struck him, a promise he hadn't dared to hope for. The others nodded, their eyes reflecting the firelight. He felt a shift, a tether forming to this unexpected family. Morning came with the sound of laughter. The women rose early, tending chores with a rhythm he admired. He joined them, repairing a fence under Mary's guidance. His hands, once idle, found purpose again, guided by their quiet strength and shared labor. Days turned to weeks, and the rancher's presence became part of their routine. He learned to milk the goats, his clumsy attempts met with patient instruction. The women's laughter echoed, a sound that filled the void he'd carried. He was no longer just a guest but a contributor. One afternoon, they gathered around a book, its pages worn with use. Mary read aloud, tales of pioneers and hope. The rancher listened, his mind drifting to his own story. The women's voices wove a new narrative, one where he had a place among them. As seasons changed, so did he. The harsh lines on his face softened, replaced by a quiet contentment. The cabin, once a refuge, became his home. The women's care mended his spirit, stitch by stitch, like the quilts they sewed together on cold nights. He helped build a new stable, his strength returning with each hammer strike. The women cheered as the first horse arrived, a symbol of renewal. Together, they worked the land, turning barren soil into a garden of promise, a testament to their unity. Nights were filled with music, Ellen's flute, Mary's songs, and the others clapping hands. The rancher, once silent, found his voice, joining in with a deep hum. Their harmony bridged his past and present, a song of belonging he'd never known. One stormy night, a tree fell, blocking the path. The women and the rancher worked as a team, clearing the debris. Rain soaked them, but their spirits soared. He realized he'd found not just a home, but a family forged in shared struggle. The rancher's old map lay forgotten in a drawer. He no longer needed it. The women had become his compass. Their guidance led him through life's uncertainties, a map drawn with kindness and trust. He marveled at how far he'd come from that lonely plain. Harvest time brought abundance. Vegetables, fruits, and grains filled the cabin. The women danced, pulling him into their circle. His boots, once heavy with despair, now moved with joy. The land thrived, mirroring the growth in his heart. Winter arrived, blanketing the world in snow. The cabin glowed with warmth, a haven against the cold. The rancher chopped wood, his strength a gift to those who'd saved him. They gathered by the fire, sharing stories that wove their lives together. One evening, Mary spoke of the future. "This is our home," she said, including him. The rancher nodded, tears in his eyes. He'd never left because he'd found where he belonged. The women's invitation had rooted him deeper than any ranch ever could. Spring brought new life. Lambs and chicks filled the yard. The rancher watched, a smile breaking through. The women taught him to care for them, their patience a lesson in love. He marveled at the cycle, a reflection of his own rebirth. Years passed, and the rancher's hair grayed. The women aged too, but their bond remained strong. They sat together, reminiscing about the day he arrived. Laughter filled the air, a testament to a life rebuilt with shared dreams. One summer day, a traveler passed by, lost like he once was. The women welcomed him, and the rancher joined them. He saw his old self in the stranger's eyes. Together, they offered the same kindness that had saved him. The rancher's hands, once rough with solitude, now held the hands of those he loved. The cabin stood as a beacon, its light guiding others. He never left because he'd found a purpose greater than the land he'd lost. As the sun set on another day, the rancher looked at the women, his family. The plains stretched endlessly, but he no longer felt lost. Their invitation had given him a home, a heart, and a legacy to pass on to those who'd follow. And so, the rancher remained, his story etched in the walls of the cabin. The 6 women, his saviors, became legends of the land. Together, they proved that even the lost could find a place, a haven built on love, never to be left behind.